Ladies and gentlemen, welcome inside the MGM Grand here in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. This bout is scheduled for 12 rounds for the WBO Junior Lightweight World title. Our judges at ringside, Tim Cheatham, Patricia Morse-Jarman, and Julie Letterman. The man in charge at the sound of the bell, Mr. Tony Weeks. Ladies and gentlemen watching around the world, this is boxing, this is Top Rank, and this is the main event. Fighting out of the blue corner, presented in association with Golden Boy and Miguel Cotto Promotions. He weighed in at 129.6 pounds, wearing green camouflage trunks. He brings a record of 31 wins, 6 losses, 19 of those wins coming by way of knockout. He is making his second attempt at a world title from Bayamon, Puerto Rico, Jonathan El Polvo Oquendo. Fighting out of the red corner, he weighed in at 129.5 pounds, wearing white trunks with gold trim. He brings a record of 21 wins, only 2 defeats, 10 of those victories coming by way of knockout. He is a 2012 U.S. Olympian. He is a United States Marine Corps veteran, making his second world title defense from Coram, New York, the Fighting Marine, the reigning WBO Junior Lightweight Champion of the world, Jamel Semper Fi Herring.
Okay, gentlemen, caballeros, you already received your instructions. Usted recibió instrucciones. Okay, right here is good. Right here is good. I want a good, clean fight. You quiero una pelea limpia. Obey my commands at all times, above for protection of all times. Escúchame, cuídate. Listos, ready, let's go.
The sport's been dealing with many postponements and delays with the global pandemic. We just had one last week with a title fight of Jose Ramirez against Victor Postal. This was different with the twice delayed Herring Oquendo because Herring, a world champion who had COVID, had symptoms. Stamina became an issue. He's concerned about where he was, and that is a slip there to start things off. But after the most recent postponement, Timmy, he said his body fortunately had more time to recover. He took some time off. He stopped training for a moment, went home, and allowed himself to heal and fully recover.
Well, that's a good thing, Chess, because if he would have fought when he didn't feel 100%, then that probably wouldn't went well. You know, the fact that he feels stronger, that means that he's mentally stronger, you know, moving forward in this fight.
That was the week of June 23rd when he announced that he had tested positive. The original fight was scheduled for July 2nd. His temperature spiked to 101.5. He woke up in a pool of sweat. He tried to train through it. He was suffering from extreme fatigue. A cough came along later. And even in trying to get it to what was then the new date of July 14th, he was openly talking about that at best he felt like he was about 80 or 90% of himself, and his trainers were greatly concerned.
Stop. I'm going to tell you something right now. It's the first round, and Oquendo's already found his way home in the inside on Herring. If I'm in his corner right now, in Herring's corner right now, I'm worried because he doesn't need to be there. He's fighting a shorter man. He has a longer reach. He needs to establish distance outside with his jab and set up his offense.
What were they saying in the corner of Oquendo?
Dennis Pantoja said, look, he just can't pull in there with his head coming straight forward. He's got to use angles. He's got to establish the jab because he's going to get timed.
There's the jab, a long left hand to the body. Yep.
Yeah, he stepped to the side, landed 2 or 3 shots, piled up points, and got off the line. That's exactly what he needs to do. No. You don't allow the aggressiveness
and the over-aggressiveness of Jonathan Oquendo caused you to speed up your pace. You let him know that this is the pace that the fight is going to be fought at. That's that championship mentality we were talking about in the beginning of the show.
And it's amazing, Tim, how that pressure simmers down when the fight is on the boxer's terms.
Yeah, because now he has the distance, and now he's giving the aggressor something to think about before he comes in. He's hesitating a little bit before he comes in. Nice uppercut right there.
Which was exactly what Bomac was saying, Tim. Take that little step back when the pressure comes and land that uppercut, and he did it right there.
Stop. Stop.
Look, this round is not the prettiest round, but Herring did a great job boxing this round.
Jamel Herring upped his output in that second round, throwing 54 punches, landing 18 to Oquendo's 7 connects. You saw the quick glance replay of yet another clash of heads, and there are the total punches through 2 rounds as the champ has landed 31%.
Yeah, that's a classic orthodox fighter, a right-handed fighter versus a southpaw. You know, that happens. Clash of the heads happen. But Oquendo's actually coming in with his head, to be honest with you, a lot. You know, you see him leaning in right there. You know, I'm looking for Herring to make him pay. The uppercut is available. The check hook is available. You know, you see him trying it right there. Sooner or later, it's going to find its way home.
Stop.
There it is, half a step back right there. Just a little bit off the mark from Jamel Herring. Nice left uppercut right there.
If you're Jonathan Oquendo, you continue to do what you're doing. You continue to try to make things uncomfortable for the taller fighter, Jamel Herring. Keep doing what you're doing until he finds some answers. And right now, Jamel Herring does not have any answers for the inside game and the aggression of Jonathan Oquendo.
Oh, there's a great
right
left uppercut. Jamel Herring, perfectly timed power surge. Over a minute to work here as Oquendo only knows one way and comes straight ahead again. Ryan McIntyre said, give yourself that space for the uppercut. He found it and delivered. A lightning strike here in round 3.
Stop. Come on. You got it.
McIntyre and Tim Bradley. Tim Bradley asked for that uppercut too, Tim. That's the shot you were calling for.
Let me go.
That's the shot I was calling for. Now I'm calling for the sweep left, the sweep right hook. Throw the left uppercut and sweep with the right hook. It's gonna be there. Lift his head up, then take it off.
There's the uppercut again. As soon as he crosses that threshold, he's ready to pull the trigger. Just takes that half step back, and he's in that danger zone, and he brought it there.
I tell you, the one thing that Herring has to be careful of, he has to time the uppercut perfectly, because if he misjudges it and Oquendo throws a looping right hand over the top, it will land. There it is. Nice. So now he's starting with the check hook now, and then he's bringing up the uppercut. Nice adjustment right there from Herring to start the round.
Equally available as that check hook.
Stop.
Test, but the problem is that he's throwing it too wide. He needs to shorten it like that. Shorten that check hook. Don't come out wide with it.
Stop. Watch it.
You're wondering why Oquendo's having a hard time, even, at times getting in the inside, is he's not using the jab. One of the hardest weapons to land against a southpaw is the jab because of the angle. And if you can't get your jab working, then you're not going to be able to work your offense.
Yet another reason why there must be great concern in the corner of Jonathan Oquendo, Bernardo.
Yeah, and kind of leading with what Tim is saying, Daniel Pantoja said, look, the problem here is that he's coming straight in without throwing any punches. So he's just leaving himself open to be countered. He wasn't hurt that last round. He just caught him clean. But he's got to move his torso coming in, and he's got to let his hands go.
And Bernardo, as you know, it was a conversation that you were leading last night when we asked him, the very first thing we asked him about strategy, how to go about this fight against Herring. He said, I know I have to work hard right from the very first bell. That's obvious, but I have to use angles. That hasn't happened.
I like what I see from Herring right now. He's resisting the temptation to overly use that uppercut. Just because you landed it and landed flush doesn't mean it's going to continue to land against a veteran fighter like Oquendo. He's going away from it, and it's a punch that he can come back to in a couple rounds.
Here we go. Time in. Let's go.
Jamel Herring says, don't even worry about washing it off. Put it right in. Let's get back to work. He's got the momentum.
Yeah, he's got work to do.
And Tess, you see the mind. What I said that a while back. You see the mind, the way Drake thinks. He said he's not going to the well all too often now. He likes that because you want to set him up. Let him fall asleep a little bit. Let him not see that uppercut for some time and then surprise him with it later in the fight. Brilliant mind by Andre Ward.
Catches him coming through again, crossing that line, and Oquendo pays the price. Not many at 37 years old in this game know any tomorrows. Former featherweight secondary title challenger. This is his first opportunity at a widely recognized world title facing Herring is Jonathan Oquendo. He has patiently waited for this opportunity, twice postponed with the positive COVID test from Herring. Andre Ward's card looks this way, 39-36. Remember, a 10-8 round in the third round when the left uppercut floored Oquendo.
Come on, double, go. Double, go. There you go. Come on.
Off balance that time, left hand. You hear Brian McIntyre, Bo Mac, the trainer of Herring in the background.
Come on. Keep boxing him, man. Keep boxing him. Keep boxing him. Keep stepping. Yank that wing on the inside. Yank that wing on the inside, man.
Stop.
Yank that on the inside, man. Yank it.
Stop.
Come on, keep boxing him.
Stop.
Yank it. Come on, keep boxing him. There you go. I know.
Hands free. Stop.
Come on, man. Come on.
Time. Oh, yeah. Fight the skin.
Headbutt. Told you, ref. He cut.
We got the dot.
Damn.
Let's hold on.
You see the blood coming from the right eye of Jamel Herring after that clash of heads. There have been numerous clash of heads. This was moments ago.
I can see. No, if you can see, you fight. If you can't see, I can't let you fight.
You good?
I can see.
Okay. Get over there. Yeah. Watch that headbutt. Intentional coming together. I got to cut over here. Intentional coming together. Yeah. Coming together. Cut over here. Okay, here we go. Timing, let's go. No, get him up.
Now Oquendo wrestling him to the ground.
The commission is going to clarify momentarily what the ruling will be based on the fact that Tony Weeks said it was an intentional clash of heads. So we'll get that in between rounds for you.
Interesting that he said it wasn't accidental, that he walked over to the commission and executive director Bob Bennett and Jeff Mullen and said it was intentional, with Oquendo lowering his head and coming into that right eye of Jamel Herring.
Stop. Let him go.
Well, Oquendo comes in like that every single time. That's how he gets his offense off. He's trying to get under the punches of Jamel Herring. He leads with his head just like he did right there. So it's hard for a referee to judge intent, but I think that was a good call from Weeks to at least make Oquendo think twice.
Now the point deduction with the intentional head clash in round 5.
Stop. Stop.
This fight for Jamel Herring can be as easy or as hard as he makes it. He's got the advantages on the outside. He's the faster fighter, the fresher fighter, the longer fighter. And he even has advantages on the inside because for a fighter with long arms, Jamel Herring can fight really well on the inside. The key is just knowing how long to be there and when to get back outside. If he can judge that distance, he's going to be on his way. But he can't let Oquendo kind of get back in the fight and maul his way back in. And even if he's not winning rounds, he's wearing Jamel down. And Jamel has to keep an eye on that because if he's successful tonight, what do you think Carl Frampton is going to try to do?
Stop. Let him up.
You know Carl Frampton is looking at this closely, very closely. But what I was going to say is that the left hook is an unused weapon against the southpaw. We hear about the right hand all the time. We right hand. But the left hook is a punch that the southpaw has a hard time seeing as well. So if I was in Oquendo's corner, I would say throw the left because that will put him in the position for the right hand. That will line him up for the right hand. Make him adjust to that.
Stop.
You mentioned Carl Frampton, the 2-division world champion, who is trying to make history in his career, wants to be the first Irishman to be a 3-division world champion. If Herring, that's a slip, if Herring continues this way and defends his title tonight, there have been numerous reports of a title showdown with Frampton going after Herring's belt here at 130 pounds in November. When we talked to Herring last night about the possibility of that fight, he said it's his motivation. His motivation for this fight is to outperform what Frampton just did in his most recent fight. That was a fight that we broadcast from the UK on August 15th. It was a 7th round TKO against the short notice opponent, Darren Trainer.
Tess, I think the competition was a bit different.
Huge difference.
No offense to Frampton. I mean, Oquendo is no trainer.
Absolutely.
He's a tough, rugged veteran. So.
And Frampton didn't look his best that night until the very end, Timmy.
No, he didn't. He didn't look his best that night. But, sometimes you fight to the level of your competition.
It's the ultimate showdown at 135 pounds. Can't wait for that.
Come on. Hoop Saliba. Here we go.
Like that mask that Bob had on.
Stop. No.
But Jamel gave up some ground in that last round. He allowed Oquendo to follow his script. Oquendo's script going into this fight is to make things rough. He's not he's not as skillful as Jamel Herring. What you see him doing right now is what he wanted to do throughout this fight. The question is Jamel Herring going to continue to allow him to do it?
Stop.
This type of stuff right here, all the wrestling and stuff going on, grappling going on, this type of stuff take a lot of energy out of you, and it messes up your rhythm as well. It's really hard for Herring to really get in a really solid rhythm. And right when I say that, he gets in a little one.
Well, he is, Tim, but it's just not as consistent as it's supposed to be. And I talked about this at the beginning of the show. Championship mentality, having the pressure of another big fight looming. You know, coming off of COVID-19, two postponements. You know, fighting a veteran fighter who has everything to win and you know, everything to gain and nothing to lose. And people expecting you to not only win but look good. That's what champions have to deal with, and you have to learn to compartmentalize that and still come out here and perform.
Bernardo, what are you hearing ringside?
I know.
Let him go.
I asked Bomac, how do you deal with this guy coming in with his head? And he's like, look, Mal's got to establish that jab because this guy's coming in head first. He's got to step around and pop him with the uppercut. That's the only way because he doesn't stop coming straight forward with his head as a weapon.
I'm telling you right now, that head of Oquendo is frustrating Herring. It's really bothering him.
Give him up.
Stop.
Anytime Jamel Herring asserts himself offensively, he starts to tame Jonathan Oquendo. I'm not sure why Jamel is not doing more of that or why he's not recognizing that he's taming Jonathan Oquendo when he lets his hands go.
Stop.
Herring is making this fight rough for himself by not maintaining distance and staying on the outside. Oquendo got into the pocket from the first round. I knew something was up. Maybe his legs. I don't know what it is. But this isn't the Jamel Herring that I'm used to seeing.
He can't see.
So Jamel's saying he can't see. Now keep in mind, earlier we heard it was an intentional clash and an accidental clash, so we should be going to the scorecards here for a technical decision.
No. We're gonna go see what happened. What I'm saying, he doesn't lose the fight. Yeah.
And you hear Tony Weeks immediately saying, of course he doesn't lose the fight.
If it's intentional, then he automatically wins. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But we don't go to the scorecards. He automatically loses because he can't continue from an intentional foul.
Weeks is making the distinction because he had ruled it intentional. It's a DQ, not a technical decision. Let's let them clarify.
Yep. Yeah.
This is not good. This is not good.
No, Tim, he's going to be fine here. The champion's going to be fine here.
It was an intentional foul, so he can't continue to do it for an intentional foul. Yeah.
The foul was strictly ruled intentional. Even if it was accidental, we'd go to scorecards.
Intentional foul. He cannot continue because he committed an intentional foul. He loses on an intentional foul.
And you see the reaction from Oquendo. Timmy, just think of it this way. If at that moment in the fifth round, with an intentional foul, the fight didn't continue, you'd have a DQ. Oquendo would be DQ'd, Herring would be the winner. It just is a delay of 3.5 more rounds of getting that result.
Yeah, just listening to the conversation with the commission and the referee, it didn't sound like it was right.
Yeah.
Intentional foul.
Yeah.
Now he can't continue.
Because of that cut.
Right.
Yeah.
So we go to the scorecard.
Okay. All right.
Now the commission is telling him you should go to the scorecards, but the unified rules clearly state accidental foul, you go to the scorecards after 4 rounds are complete. Not intentional foul, accidental foul. Bernardo, what can you tell us?
Let him know they're going to go to the...
So from what I'm hearing, what happened was there was initial intentional headbutt. There was a point deduction. He could continue at the time, but due to that same intentional headbutt, he is now unable to see. The eye is closed. He says he cannot see. Therefore, the doctor said he cannot allow Jamel Herring to continue in this fight. Therefore, It looks like we're going to the scorecards at this point, because had it stopped at that time, the fight would have ended. But it ended later due to that same situation, so that's what the confusion is about. We are going to the scorecards.
Yeah, that's the unique point here to grapple with, because if the fight ended at that moment, undoubtedly we know how this goes. What Tony Weeks is arguing, the referee is saying, listen, that's why I'm stopping the fight. It's because of that intentional clash of heads. But now we're hearing the commission saying, no, we are going to go to the scorecards and come up with a technical decision. Reminder, you look at Andre's card, it reads 76-74 as Oquendo with that mauling style in the last 3 rounds, causing trouble for Herring, made a comeback. But Herring scored a devastating knockdown in the 3rd round and then had the 10-8 round in the 5th round with the point deduction that we've been consumed with the clash of heads that has finished off this fight.
Tess, can I say something?
Please, Tim.
All right, after further deliberation, it is true. They're going to go with the unified rules, which state that because it was an intentional headbutt that caused the cut and the fight was stopped due to the effects of that headbutt, then it is a disqualification, just as if it would have been, Joe, as you explained before, had they stopped it at that 5th round when the intentional headbutt happened, and Jamel said he could see at the time. Now he cannot see. The doctor cannot allow him to continue. We revert back to that foul, and it is a disqualification.
Bernardo, I'm glad you brought that up, and that's why I made it a point to clarify that when you go through the unified rules, it lists accidental foul. You go to the scorecards after 4 rounds are completed. But if an intentional foul, just think of it as any other intentional foul. Hitting a man when he's down, an elbow, a clash, anything that would cause the end of the fight, it's a DQ.
Yeah, both of them things got cut tonight. Yeah, they were shit out of you tonight.
Now, we heard that exchange after the 8th round, and really, that was what was critical. And you heard Tony Weeks say, I can't tell you where this thing stands, but if you're saying you can't see it, the doctor says you can't see, then we'll call this fight. Here's how it happened, when it happened. Now, Timmy and Dre, I'll turn to you, and I think I know your reaction because it was happening in the rounds leading up to this. You agree Oquendo bobbing, weaving, coming forward with the head, not with his fist, that is the proper call to be ruled intentional.
Absolutely, it was definitely the right call by Tony Weeks. It wasn't just a one-off. I mean, Oquendo had been fighting like that all night long, and if you've watched any of his previous fights, he fights like that. And then you have a southpaw in Jamel Herring, so that enhances everything that Oquendo's doing as well. So great call, right call by Tony Weeks to call it intentional.
I mean, it's Tony Weeks' call. He's the closest man to the action. But for me, that's Oquendo's style. He brings his head in. You're going to fight all different type of styles. You're going to have to deal with that, especially being a champion. But the problem I have right here is realize. When I saw Herring, frustrated, dealing with those headbutts, he wanted out. I got to tell you that. He wanted out. And that's the problem that I'm having right now, because I'm trying to digest all of this, and I'm saying, okay, the reason why you can't see is because you got blood dripping down in your eye. You got blood coming from that cut down in your eye. You can see once they clear that up. To me, I honestly feel like he gave up. He gave up. He wanted out.
We're talking about 2 different things here. Joe asked me, did Tony Weeks make the right call? Yes, he made the right call. Now, you shifted to Jamel Herring, and I agree. I can't say whether Jamel could see or not. I'm not in that ring. Bomac saw what he saw. He felt compelled to call the referee over, and he said he couldn't see, and the referee did what he was supposed to do. But I'll say this to your point. I would have liked to have seen Jamel Herring find a way to get through this. When the cut came and the blood started to flow, I saw a totally different Jamel Herring. Jonathan Oquendo is one thing. Carl Frampton, even at his age, even after the tough fights, is something totally different. This was a showcase type of fight, and this was a moment that Jamel Herring was supposed to get through to catapult him to the Carl Frampton fight. The Carl Frampton fight's going to be no easier. I'm just going to put it like that. It's going to be no easier. It's going to be a lot harder than what he faced tonight.
After all the filters we went through in defining the rules, what do you say we make this thing official? Here's ring announcer Mark Chinook.
Ladies and gentlemen, here inside the MGM Grand, referee Tony Weeks calls a halt to this bout after the 8th round due to repeated intentional headbutts, declaring your winner by disqualification. And still, WBO Junior Lightweight Champion of the World, Jamel Semper Fi Herring.
He wins by DQ. Jamel Herring with a title defense. An odd one at that. Bernardo.
So the final word from Bob Bennett, the Nevada State Athletic Commissioner, was that due to the fact that it was an intentional headbutt, everything reverted to that 5th round. The fight was stopped due to the cut caused by the intentional headbutt, as called by Tony Weeks, and that left us with only a disqualification once they went to the unified rules.